Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the kitchen of Crossman, and we've got a lot of shit to talk about, and this video, this stream, wouldn't have featured AEW or Tony Khan whatsoever. But Tony Khan decided to be a cunt, basically. Tony Khan decided to call out WWE whilst he was promoting his own show during the NFL Draft Week. I'm not American, I don't know too much about the NFL, but Tony Khan decided to open his mouth, and that's why Tony Khan is the headline of this video, because Tony Khan said some stuff that you shouldn't really go around saying. So Tony Khan, he's going to be the main event of this stream. We've also got the WWE Draft. How disappointing was that? We've also got some AEW streaming deal news. It's not good for them. Some news on Vince McMahon and Nick Khan and their stock. And we'll start with this one. Dave Meltzer. We all love Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer, he gives us a laugh. And Dave Meltzer, he's not had a very good year. He's had a very bad year. It started off with the February thing where he thought a video from Triple H and The Rock from 10 years ago was this year. And since then, he's had a track record of nothing but bullshit. And recently, he's come out with some more bullshit. So Dave Meltzer reported that, and I'll get my phone for reference. I should have had this ready, but I did not. Come on. Dave Meltzer said that WWE wrestler Dominic Mysterio is scheduled to undergo Tommy John surgery to repair an elbow injury. Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer reports, and this was very quickly debunked by Dominic Mysterio himself, and he said no surgery for this guy. So this is more reason to basically not trust the words Dave Meltzer says. And I don't understand the wrestling media, because anytime the newsletter comes out, there's always the wrestling news channels. They're always posting their thumbnails. WWE star injured with a silhouette and a question mark. You click on it. Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer reports this. Who gives a fuck about what these people, right? I know why they do it. I know it gets them to click, right? But they should have at least some decency to at least not put a Dave Meltzer story in the headline and make it the thumbnail. Because it's most likely going to be bullshit. And another thing Dave Meltzer recently said, which every wrestling media outlet is using, is that the PG era is dead, officially, according to Dave Meltzer. Now, Dave Meltzer doesn't actually have a source for this. This is literally his opinion from what The Rock did and Paul Heyman's promo from the Hall of Fame. And the wrestling news channels are all out saying, PG era officially dead, confirmed. When it's literally just Dave Meltzer's opinion. I don't even think he reported it as news. It was just an opinion. And these people are using it as a headline. It's ridiculous. I don't get it. I remember when I started, I tried to be wrestling news, and within about 2 weeks, I decided to stop using Dave Meltzer for my thumbnails and my headlines, because I knew it was most likely going to be bullshit, and I didn't want to lie to you people, and that's one of the reasons I stopped doing news, and I'm just more of an analyst, if you will. And we've got some people in the chat. Scottish Davros, how are you doing? Meltzer Magoo is a planker, a complete hack. Yes, he is. He isn't a complete hack. Obviously, he is a renowned wrestling historian, which I don't think we can take that away from him. But when it comes to credible news, then we can say, yeah, no, Meltzer, go away, bro. Go away. We don't want to listen to you. it's official. Tony Khan is going WCW. Yes. Well, no, that's an insult to WCW. Really, he's like a parody of a parody of a parody of Eric Bischoff. He's a parody of a parody of a parody. AEW is a parody of a wrestling promotion, and people like Dave Meltzer just fuel that, and they fuel all the bullshit and all the tribalism. And Tony Khan, he goes out of his way to say, "Oh, we're under attack," and then he does something like that. But Dave Meltzer's full of shit. I think wrestling news channels and wrestling news accounts on X and all these people need to stop using the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Wrestling Observer radio, because at the end of the day, everyone's wired up to Dave Meltzer, apart from a few people in the cult. We know about the cult. Even Solomonster's called the AEW diehards a cult now, and I'm pretty sure he was one of the AEW flag bearers, and now he's saying that it's really a cult. It really is a cult, because Solomonster's had people coming after him because of something he said. And it's a cult. It's a cult run by Tony Khan. It's a cult run by Dave Meltzer, and they're all pieces of shit, basically. Imagine breaking your neck for 600k. Yeah, it's all shit. And AEW, they're not in a very good place. And according to Dave himself, AEW's TV rights are up on the 31st of December. That's according to Dave, so might not be accurate. But if Dave was to lie about that, then it wouldn't be any later than the 31st of December 2024. And so far, we've heard nothing about a streaming deal, nothing about TV deal, no announcement whatsoever. But we do have some news on I say I'm not a news channel here. We have some news. We do have some news on a streaming deal that AEW had, and I say had because they haven't got it anymore. Let me just find it. Here we go. All Elite Wrestling's streaming deal with VIX for Latin America and the Caribbean has been terminated. And it started a little under a year ago, which looks like it has been terminated. It's been ended because AEW isn't doing very well in Latin America, in Mexico and places like that, and the Caribbean. So that's one L for AEW right there, and it shows how much interest AEW doesn't have. And we'll see next week, because I always cover the ratings on a Friday if I can. We will see next week if Tony Khan doing his media rounds and the angle, the NWO angle, as people keep saying. We'll see if that's drawn any interest, because we should know by the ratings next week if people are interested in that. And I would have been interested if they did it right and with the right people. And they just fucked it up. And that video I made yesterday, where I went over that angle and went over the ratings, there was quite a few AEW diehards in there, and it's blatantly obvious they didn't watch the video, just judging by the comments. And I'm not going to go through the comments, but there was a saying shit that contradicted themselves, because I was saying to them, but you didn't even watch the fucking video. You didn't even watch the video. You came here, you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. You came here to defend your precious AEW without watching the video. And these people need to understand that I don't just criticize AEW, I criticize WWE. I'm going to be criticizing WWE in the stream very heavily, because they've pissed me off. But that's the AEW streaming deal, and that's Dave Meltzer. Next, we need to get into Vince McMahon and Nick Khan, and we've got any more chats? No. Right. So, where are we? Vince McMahon has reportedly sold all of his TKO stock shares and has officially cut ties with WWE. But that's not the only issue we have here, because the issue is WWE President Nick Khan has filed to sell what appears to be all of his holdings of 234,424 shares in TKO Group Holdings, which means, is Nick Khan leaving? Potentially. Some people are saying that he's just selling all his stock while the stock's sky high and he's going to retain his president job. But we'll see. It does seem a bit weird that he's selling it all right around the time that Tony Khan calls WWE the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling. It is a bit of a weird coincidence, but there is the possibility that he's literally just selling it all because the stock's really high at the minute. He's just selling it all, and he's going to retain his job. He just wants to make some money, basically. So obviously there is the possibility of Nick leaving. Maybe he is. We don't know. Hopefully not, because he does do some really good stuff for WWE when it comes to financials. But he was also mentioned in the one of Janelle Grant's statements, but the statement did say that Nick wasn't aware of any actual abuse. He was just aware of the relationship. So I don't think we've got too much to worry about with Nick Khan leaving, but it's something to keep your eye on, considering he's selling literally all of his shares, according to Sportico, whoever the fuck they are. Next, the WWE Draft. We're getting through these rapidly. I thought this would be longer. The WWE Draft. What a disappointment the WWE Draft was. Now, I come from a time where the draft felt really important, and not the time that some of you may come from, where the draft first started and they had draft lottery. I come from the time where you had a wrestler from Raw versus a wrestler from SmackDown. The winner gets a randomized pick, right? And every year I looked forward to the WWE Draft. It was a highlight of the year for wrestling. And over recent years, it has been absolutely dreadful. Now, the pick thing that they did works when you have a roster that aren't assigned to shows. For example, 2002, 2016, and even last year. That's when it works. After that, you need a different concept. Either do the draft lottery, or what I grew up with the matches and the picks, the randomized picks. You know, you get the graphics and all that shit. The one that was ruined by John Cena when he got drafted twice in one night. All that that really pissed me off. But the draft, and we will be going through the picks individually. The ones on TV, I've not seen the ones that didn't feature on TV, apart from Baron Corbin going to SmackDown and OC going to SmackDown, and that's about it from the ones I've seen off screen. I can see AEW going on broadcast like Destination America, because the Turner Network have gone from for cutting wrestling. They might. TBS, TNT, they might say to AEW, yeah, we don't want you anymore. According to PW Insider, though, let me put that bit. According to PW Insider, though, I think it's PW Insider. They're all the fucking same to me these days. According to them, Turner Broadcasting, Warner Brothers Discovery, are very happy with AEW. Apparently, according to them. Well, I don't get why TV executives will be talking to wrestling journalists. I mean, wrestling journalists aren't real journalists in a way. I mean they cover a scripted sport, and people who aren't into wrestling would probably laugh at these people. They probably hear the name Dave Meltzer, who, Sean Ross Sapp, who, and they just wouldn't take them seriously. They're probably feeding them false information. WWE are always feeding these people false information. Always feeding them false information. But we're going to get into these draft picks, and we'll start with round one. The first pick for SmackDown for round one of the draft Was it Roman Reigns? Was it Randy Orton? Was it Kevin Owens? Was it a top name? Bianca Belair. And that's when I knew this draft was a joke. Who in the right mind would pick Bianca Belair as number one? Who? I fucking wouldn't. Over Randy Orton? I mean, Roman Reigns technically was no longer part of the draft pool, and we'll get to that in a minute. But Bianca Belair is the number one draft pick. Now, some of you who are awake to certain things may know why WWE have done this, and I'm not going to get too deep into that because the last time I did, I got tons of hate for it because I'm not allowed to have an opinion on that because I'm white. But there's a reason why Bianca Belair was the number one draft pick, and it's the WWE get good PR. And anyway, I can't blame them. Yeah, I mean, I said this the last time I spoke about Bianca Belair. They're not going out of their way to push a certain narrative like other companies. They're just making Bianca their poster girl. And in a way, it's fine. But when you're giving her the number one draft pick, man, that's ridiculous. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And when I woke up this morning and I saw Bianca Belair was the number one draft pick, I didn't believe it. I thought it was fake. I thought it was fake. Number two for Raw, or number one for Raw, should I say? Jey Uso. Jey Uso is not moving shows. I thought Jey Uso may go back to SmackDown to do this Bloodline versus Bloodline shit. Apparently not. Apparently staying on Raw, and apparently they're going to, at some point during Survivor Series or some point throughout the year, they're going to mix them up throughout the shows, and the draft's going to be a pointless endeavor, basically. I think Jey should have gone to SmackDown if they're going to do the Bloodline versus Bloodline thing, but he's staying on Raw. Is he going to win a singles championship this year? Possibly not. I'd like him to win the Intercontinental Championship at some point, not from Sami Zayn, but from Chad Gable. Because at some point, Chad Gable's going to beat Sami Zayn. Chad Gable needs to beat Sami Zayn because Chad Gable's doing some good shit right now. And Jey Uso needs to beat Chad Gable, basically. Number two for SmackDown in round one, Carmelo Hayes. And we're going to talk about that match he had with Cody Rhodes. Now, it wouldn't have been so bad, the match. But they did a spot which Carmelo Hayes clearly wasn't ready for. He didn't have the correct timing for it because they tried to do a springboard Cody cutter and fucked it up. And Cody nearly broke his neck because Carmelo Hayes mistimed this springboard Cody cutter. Now, I'm not blaming Carmelo Hayes for anything because Cody Rhodes hasn't come out and said he's injured, or he could have been injured. I don't know whose idea it was to do this. Maybe Cody's. It was a stupid idea to do it. Really stupid. I mean, if Carmelo Hayes hasn't got the know-how to do something like that, just don't do it. Make sure he really knows the timing, because Cody Rhodes could have been seriously injured from this spot, and it's making the rounds on the internet. It is stupid. It could have looked cool. It could have looked devastating, but it's not worth breaking your neck over. It's not worth injuring your back over. It's not worth it. Just die these things down a little bit. We don't need them in every single match all the time. We just don't need them. We don't need them. And the second pick for Raw, Seth Rollins. So far, no one has really moved because Carmelo Hayes has made appearances on SmackDown anyway during the Royal Rumble time. So he was technically on SmackDown anyway, and NXT at the same time. So nobody has moved so far. Yeah, it's not looking good. So we'll go to round two. SmackDown picks Randy Orton in round two. And yeah, so Randy Orton hasn't moved. I think Randy Orton should have gone to Raw. But it looks like they're going to have Randy feud with Cody because Cody's now officially on SmackDown. That's one move that did happen. It was unofficially undrafted. But Cody Rhodes is now on SmackDown. Randy Orton's on SmackDown. It looks like they're going to do Cody versus Randy at some point. They're going to turn Randy heel. I don't know if that's going to work out very well because everybody loves Randy Orton right now. And it's going to be hard to turn him heel. It's going to be hard to get people to boo Randy Orton. But Randy Orton, SmackDown. Now, someone finally does move. In Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker was on SmackDown. Bron Breakker has now gone to Raw. And I don't know what Bron Breakker's going to do on Raw. Is he going to go for the Intercontinental Championship? I don't know. Maybe. I would prefer Jey Uso to win it, because Jey Uso's not winning the World Heavyweight Championship. That's too full. There's too many people in there, and Bron Breakker, I don't know what they're going to do with him on Raw. We'll see. Another move, Nia Jax to SmackDown. I don't really care. I don't care. And Liv Morgan stays on Raw, and Scottish Davros. I know you're a Liv Morgan fan, but I don't care, bro. I ain't interested in Liv Morgan whatsoever. Round 3, and this is where they really fucked up. LA Knight stays on SmackDown. Why? Why keep LA Knight on SmackDown? He needs a change of scenery. He needs a fresh batch of people to work with, and you're keeping him on SmackDown. Why? Why? He should have moved to Raw and put him in that World Heavyweight Championship picture. Maybe win it down the road, but he's staying on SmackDown, which means unless he's beating Logan Paul at some point, he's not winning a championship anytime soon. He's probably not going to win Money in the Bank. He probably won't be in the Money in the Bank match at all. But LA Knight stays on SmackDown. That's a waste, a complete waste. Ricochet stays on Raw. Who cares? Who the fuck cares? Ricochet's career went downhill when he got squashed by Lesnar. As soon as Ricochet got squashed by Lesnar, man, that was it for Ricochet. And since then, the Triple H has tried to build him back up a little bit, but I mean, do you guys really care about Ricochet? Ricochet's there, he's there, but do you care? Is the question. I wish I did, but I don't. Now he is being used on Speed. Now, if you haven't seen the results of Speed, I won't spoil it for you. But he is a prominent figure on that terrible show, WWE Speed, which is something I had really high hopes for. I thought it was going to be its own half-an-hour show or something with 3-minute matches, some promos. I mean, get some guys over that don't get promo time on TV. But no, it's literally just one match a week, which is pathetic. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. The Bloodline stay on SmackDown. What a surprise! Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman, and the MFT Tamatonga. And what is an MFT? Nobody knows yet. We still don't know what that is, and that's fine. I'm happy to wait to find out what that is, but I'd like to find out what MFT stands for very soon. Jimmy Uso is apparently out with an injury. I can't remember where that news came from, so I can't tell you whether it's credible or not. But apparently Jimmy Uso is out with an injury. Don't know how long he's going to be back for. But yeah, it's not looking good because it's next pick Sheamus to Raw. Sheamus has been on Raw for the last few weeks. Now, what I don't get is that Sheamus last year was drafted to SmackDown. So when he returned, why didn't he return to SmackDown? Instead, he returned and went to Raw, even though he was never drafted to Raw last year. So something that doesn't make sense. And the final picks that were televised, AJ Styles remains on SmackDown. Why? I mean, if you're not going to put LA Knight on Raw, at least put AJ on Raw. I mean, split them up. Do something. Change something, please. I mean, this draft has been a waste of time. Next, Alpha Academy, stay on Raw. Andrade, SmackDown. And the final pick for Raw, Kiana James. Who? I don't fucking know either. Obviously, they did a video package. I wasn't fucking interested in it. I don't care. I don't know who Kiana James is. I've not even heard of her on NXT. This is the first time hearing about her. So she shouldn't have made that much of an impact. I don't know why she's drafted. And some of the women who are doing things on NXT haven't been drafted. Who is Kiana James? Please tell me, because anytime I watch an NXT review or something, it's a name I've never heard ever. So I don't get why she was drafted to Raw. Or is this going to be another Odyssey Jones situation where she gets drafted onto Raw from NXT, never to be seen again? Now, I thought the draft would be different this year. I hoped it would be different because last year, during this time, Vince McMahon did have a little bit of creative influence. Vince McMahon did. So I thought the last year's draft was down to him being a shit booker and fucking with everything. But apparently not. Apparently it was all Triple H because this year's draft was absolute dog shit. Absolute dog shit. This year's draft was. Well, it hasn't finished yet. It continues Monday. Maybe they can change my mind on Monday. But so far, man, it's been shit. It's been shit. And why does Roman Reigns have the power to take himself out of the draft? He isn't the champion anymore. He shouldn't have power like that because that was gone when he lost the championship. Obviously, he still has his contract where he does less dates, but I don't get why Roman Reigns was able to pull himself out of the draft. I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. He shouldn't have that power because he's no longer a champion with over 1,000 days. So I don't get that. I really don't. Apparently, he's going to be staying on Smackdown. I think that's what Paul Heyman tried to say, that he's staying on Smackdown. But I don't fucking know, man. Maybe it was an excuse to give Bianca Belair the first pick. Maybe it was. We've got to get Bianca the first pick. How do we do it? How do we give her a pick over Roman Reigns? Oh, let's just take Roman Reigns out of the draft book altogether. And also, apparently, they advertised CM Punk to appear on the show, and he never did. He appeared to the live crowd after the show, but never appeared during the show, even though he was advertised to do so. So, yeah, WWE had a really bad day yesterday. Really bad day. They had the Tony Khan stuff, and then they put out this absolute shit. And I don't like saying that because I used to love the draft. I used to love it. Now it's a joke. It's a complete joke. They need to change it up next year. They really do. They need to do the draft lottery again, or wrestler from SmackDown versus wrestler from Raw. Whoever wins gets the pick, and then do the battle royal at the end of the show like they used to do, and so on and so on. But even that's better than. Some people don't like that, but even that's better than what they're doing now. What they're doing now doesn't make any sense. You don't have any conflict between the general managers, which you should have. You don't have the wrestlers in the locker rooms with their Raw and SmackDown t-shirts reacting to them moving shows. Right, the reactions to the moving shows was important. It made the draft feel better and bigger, and they don't have that. They just don't. They just lack the importance of what the draft actually is and what it's supposed to be. But it's a fucking joke. This draft concept. They need to change it next year, or just fucking do away with it. Because it just pisses people off. That's all it does. It pisses people off. Barely anyone who was drafted yesterday was actually drafted, was actually moved. Now, I don't know if this is how the NFL do it, right? Because they're doing it during NFL draft week. And then maybe they're trying to replicate that, but it just doesn't work for wrestling. And it's just disappointing. I can't take this anymore. They better do something good on Monday, or this draft has been a waste of our time, a waste of our investment, is what this draft would have been. If basically no main event guys at all move shows at all, it's shit. And we're getting some chats quick. Scottish Davros, former NXT Women's Tag Champ with Fallon Henley. Isn't she? I've seen her in the game in 2K24, I think. But that's about it. I don't watch much NXT, as you can tell. I've watched bits here and now. I watched Trick versus Ilya a few days ago because they put the full match on YouTube. And even though it was a short match, it was a good little match. Put Dave Meltzer in his place because Dave Meltzer says, "Oh, Trick Williams isn't very good." Well, Dave, you got put in your place there because Trick was very good. More from Scottish Davros. Punk is in the second. Hang on. Punk is in the second pool. Right, okay. Yeah, but he was apparently advertised to appear last night and on Monday, and he did appear last night, but he didn't appear on TV just in front of the live crowd. That's enough for the draft. We'll get into Tony Khan in a minute, and man, this guy Tony Khan, he's had publicity for AEW all week because of the NFL draft. He owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's been trying to sell his neck. I say trying because people have been making fun of him on the Pat McAfee show, where they were saying if you're trying to sell a neck injury, don't move your neck like that. Which he was, keep your head straight. So those people have been making fun of Tony, and we thought we'll leave it at that because at least he's trying to keep kayfabe alive in a way. So we'll leave him alone. And then he goes and does this, making himself look like an absolute fucking tool with WWE on the brain. He did not need to mention WWE once during that interview on that news broadcast, whatever the fuck it was. He did not need to mention WWE. And for anyone who's been living under a rock that's watching this, that doesn't know what I'm talking about, Tony Khan said that AEW is the Pepsi of pro wrestling, which is a bad comparison because Pepsi tastes like shit. Then again, it's probably a good comparison, actually. It's the perfect comparison. If he was trying to make himself sound better, he should have said he was the Dr. Pepper of pro wrestling because Pepsi tastes like shit. But he got that analogy bang on with Pepsi because Pepsi tastes like shit and AEW is a shit product. Well, he said that, and then he said he's going up against the evil juggernaut, WWE, and he then called WWE the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling. And people are saying he did that to make news, he did that to get publicity, he did that to get people talking, but I don't think he did. He doesn't have a brain-to-mouth filter. He just says what comes to his mind without thinking about the repercussions. That's what he did. He wasn't strategizing, he wasn't doing some big business move, he wasn't trying to get publicity, he wasn't trying to make headlines. He just doesn't think before he speaks. And, excuse me, it's that time of the stream. Sorry. He doesn't think before he speaks. And if anyone tells me from now on that Tony Khan is a nice guy, I'm going to say bullshit because a nice guy wouldn't say this about an entire company. If he said it about Vince McMahon alone, he would have gotten away with it. That's fine, whatever, do what you want, even though Vince McMahon hasn't actually been found guilty of anything yet. But if he says that about Vince McMahon, the IWC's made their mind up about Vince McMahon anyway. So whatever, you'll get some brownie points for that, Tony. But to say it about an entire company when it was only Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis that worked for WWE that was involved, everyone else, apart from Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar is a bit here and there. We don't really know what Brock's done, if Brock knew it was consensual or non-consensual or whatever. But Brock is still employed by WWE, so I think WWE isn't too worried about Brock at the minute. But they're the only people that worked in WWE that were involved in what she's claiming happened. And it's unfair to go after the entire company and call the entire company the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling. Call Vince McMahon that, whatever, go ahead. but the entire company, what did the entire company do to? I know the entire company is in the lawsuit, right? Which I don't even think it should. It shouldn't even be in the lawsuit, the entire company, because it's Vince, John Laurinaitis. They are the only people that are named to have any wrongdoing. So I don't know why WWE as a company is named in this lawsuit, but he shouldn't have said what he said. He shouldn't have. And you get all these people online, these journalists, so-called journalists, that either aren't giving an opinion, they're refusing to give opinions about it. You know who I'm talking about, Denise. And there are others who are saying, it's funny, it's only a laugh and a joke. Like, what's his name? Ibu from Wrestle Purists. He says it's funny, it's all a laugh. No, it's not. It's not a laugh. Comparing the entire company to someone who has well over 60, accused of over 60 offences. And I say accused now because Harvey Weinstein's recently been, what's the word I'm looking for? It's all been retracted basically by the courts of New York. I think they want to go for a retrial with all the Me Too stuff. He's still in prison though because of an assault he did in a hotel room. That one hasn't been messed around with, but the rest have. And it's unfair to compare WWE to Harvey Weinstein. Innocent people work there, man. And if you're going to compare those innocent people to Harvey Weinstein, what about the people that work in AEW that works for WWE? There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that used to work in WWE. Jericho has not outright been accused of doing Harvey Weinstein stuff, but it has been referenced, and this is why I haven't talked about it much, because there's no one actually saying Chris Jericho did this to me. So it's not why I've talked about it much. I know everyone else jumped on it immediately, but I think I talked about it once and left it there because there's literally no one saying Chris Jericho did this to me. Apparently there's an NDA. We don't know. It's all rumors, and that's why I haven't talked about that. But when Tony Khan was asked about it, he was unwilling to do an investigation on Chris Jericho, which he should have done, because at the end of the day, they still go around online, Chris Jericho did this, an NDA was signed by you, Tony Khan. Tony Khan should have done something. And before if any AEW diehards are in there, yes, Triple H also did a terrible job of talking about Vince McMahon before anyone comes at me and say, oh, Triple H. And before anyone comes at me saying, well, does Triple H know? You are talking about that. I did talk about that. I made an entire video on it, actually. And that's where it was. That was a speculation video of Triple H. Does he know? We don't know. He might do, he might not. But that was before more information came out. And since that information has come out, it's very clear that Triple H didn't know anything because he hasn't been named in anything at all. And the timelines from when the relationship started and finished, Triple H was mostly in hospital dealing with his heart. So all these people saying Triple H didn't know shit. If Triple H did, he would have been named. Nick Khan was named. Someone else was named. Can't remember his name. Triple H would have been named there and then. He wasn't, because Triple H didn't know shit. And and here's the thing with Tony Khan. He is a parody of a booker. He is a parody of a wrestling promoter. He clearly doesn't take his job stats as serious as he should. And when people used to say, "Oh, he's playing with his toys. He likes to make friends," I used to think those people were being disingenuous. And then I came to the realization that those people were correct. Those people were correct, because I'm saying the same things now, and it's not just YouTubers, it's not just tribalists, and it's not just Jim Cornette. It's Eric Bischoff, it's Kevin Nash, it's Conan, Disco Inferno, Matt Morgan, Vince Russo, all these retired wrestlers and wrestling personalities are all saying the same fucking thing. Why? Because it's the truth. AEW are in a shit situation. They've not got a TV deal ready, which should have been announced by now. They've just lost a streaming deal. Their ratings are down. Their segments are embarrassing. The segment they did earlier this week was terrible, and it's all going downhill for them. It is. I don't see a time where they're going to pick it back up. I really don't, and it's sad in a way, but at the same time, it's what Tony Khan deserves. I know it's harsh, but he does deserve this, and it's going to be good for the wrestlers as well if AEW does die. I know that they're all employed. I know they need employment, but for the wrestlers who are getting really shit, they're getting good money, but they're getting shit creative. Their careers are being destroyed in AEW. Is it worth all that money? I don't think so. If I was an indie wrestler, right, and I got the opportunity to go to AEW for bigger money for less dates, or go to NXT for not more dates NXT, but less money, and then work my way up, I would choose WWE NXT all day, every day, 100%. If I was given the choice, because it's not about the money, it's about legacy in wrestling. It's about your career. What are you going to leave behind? And the people in AEW right now, their legacies are being tarnished. I don't care how much money they make. Their careers are being harmed every single week. Swerve Strickland wins the World Championship. What do they do with him? They put him in a match with a jobber. He doesn't even get a promo. No promo. Just a match with a jobber. That's it. They didn't even build to anything. Double or Nothing's 4 weeks away? No build to a new contender for Swerve. Who the fuck's Swerve gonna face? Who is there? Please tell me. Who is there for Swerve to face at Double or Nothing for the AEW World Championship? Because I'm thinking right now, and I can't think of anyone apart from maybe Christian. And is Swerve a heel? Is he a face? I don't know. Does it matter in AEW? No. People switch heel and face every week. Bryan Danielson, how many times did he switched more times than the Big Show? That's bad. Will Ospreay, he's a heel, and then he signs, he debuts, he's suddenly a face, but he's hanging around with a heel faction and a heel manager. Why? It doesn't make any sense. Nothing in AEW makes any sense. Nothing in Ring of Honor makes any sense. Nothing Tony Khan does makes any sense. And eventually AEW will go away. It's probably going to be longer than what I predicted. I predicted they'd be out of business by next year, maybe the year after, because Daddy Khan's going to pull the plug. But I don't think that Daddy Khan's now going to pull the plug. I really don't. And as much as I'd love AEW to improve instead of die, they're never going to improve. Ever. Because Tony Khan has no self-awareness. He doesn't listen to anyone apart from people that say, yes, Tony, no, Tony, let me suck your 1-inch chode, Tony. And that's the only people he listens to. Anyone who dares criticize Tony Khan, he throws his dummy out the pram and he screams, you're suspended. And that's it. He's worse than Vince McMahon when it comes to keeping his wrestlers hostage and making his wrestlers say things that they don't want to say. Because every time some negative news comes out about AEW, you see all the wrestlers one by one. AEW gave me this. I'm so thankful for AEW. Tony Khan is the best human being alive on planet Earth ever. And Edge comes out, he does that promo. Whether he was forced to do it or not is we don't know. But yeah, the promo Edge cut that week where he says, let's not focus on the negativities, let's just enjoy wrestling. And a few weeks later, Tony Khan goes and compares WWE to Harvey Weinstein. And I don't think Edge would have liked that, because that's where Edge made his career. It's where he met his wife. It's where he got his family from, WWE. And I doubt Edge is very happy with Tony Khan for his comments, because I remember on an episode of Hey AEW, that stupid YouTube show they've got, the host, what's his name? RJC? Is that his name? He tried to get Edge to say some bad stuff about WWE, so say one negative thing. Edge refused, because that's not what he's there for. Edge is there to. I don't even think Edge is there to, for the same reason CM Punk wanted to be there. He's not there to sell tickets. He's not there to draw money. He's there to have fun, because he's getting old. He got bored, which I understand. He got old. He got bored. He wanted to do something different. He wanted to do something new, something a bit more full time. WWE didn't want him full time, which is understandable, because a legend like Edge needs to come around once in a while for it to be special, remain special. And Edge didn't want that. Edge wanted to be just another guy. Edge got his wish. His wish was granted. Edge is just another guy, and that's sad. That's really sad, because note that I've been calling him Edge this entire time. Nobody knows who Adam Copeland is. My friends, they know who Edge is. You say Adam Copeland, who? They don't know who Adam Copeland is. Adam Copeland isn't Edge. And this is something I had an argument with Dave Meltzer about, because Dave Meltzer said that Edge and Roman Reigns, this was before Edge moved, that Edge and Roman Reigns would take the big money over a WWE contract. And I says to Dave, no, they wouldn't, because they lose their names. Nobody wants to see Adam Copeland. Nobody wants to see Joe Anoa'i. They want to see Edge and Roman Reigns. And Edge and Roman Reigns should know that. Apparently Edge did know that. Apparently Edge was stupid enough to be, and naive enough to think, oh, people will watch me, even though my name's going to be completely different. I'm not going to be Edge anymore. He still kept the music. He still kept the Rated R superstar. But he isn't Edge. He's Adam Copeland. Nobody knows who the fuck Adam Copeland is. Nobody knows who the fuck Mercedes Moné is. Right? Nobody knows who these people are. And it's sad. It's sad that it ended this way. Edge is probably going to end his career here. Edge is probably going to be involved in Elite versus Elite, because and this is something I worked out in my own head. They're building to Blood and Guts. The Young Bucks, Okada and Jack Perry versus Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, yeah, Adam Page, and then the fourth man. What better way to get the TNT Championship on Jack Perry than having Adam Copeland be that fourth man? And they're going to put Edge in this shit storyline with the Elite. They're going to take the TNT Championship away from Edge and put it on Jack Perry. And the way they fucked up Edge versus Christian has to be studied. That could have been the feud that took AEW to where it was supposed to be, and they fucked it up so bad, because they did it. They built it for a little bit. They had a match. Edge won and lost at the same night, and then they just forgot about it. Didn't build anything for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then they said one week, oh, next week Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage TNT Championship. There's been no build for about 4 fucking weeks, and you expect me to be interested in this blow-off match when you've not been building it for the last 4 weeks? You've just forgotten about it. And how do you forget about that? Christian was their top number one heel. He was. Christian was great. And he only needs to do the small things, but he was good at those small things he did. And then Edge came along. They're going to do this feud. And they fucked it up. They built it for a little bit. They added Nick Wayne in there. right? Why? Why Nick Wayne? Who's Nick Wayne? 18 years old? Send him to Ring of Honor. Nobody cares about Nick Wayne. Nobody knows who Nick Wayne is. Fuck Nick Wayne. If someone's flicking through channels and they see, I don't know, and I like Daniel Garcia, but Daniel Garcia versus Nick Wayne, they're going to say, what the fuck is this? When I used to watch this, it used to be Rock and Stone Cold. Who the fuck are these jobbers? Nick Wayne doesn't belong on AEW television. He belongs on Ring of Honor until he gets a bit older, gets a bit bigger, learns a bit more, and then put him on AEW TV. But to just throw, and where's Nick Wayne been? Where's Christian been? Where is everyone? Everyone's just disappeared. That's what happens in AEW. Everyone just fucking disappears, and you forget about them. And that's really fucking sad. Really sad. And what's Edge been doing? He's been teaming up with Mark Briscoe and Eddie Kingston. What were they called? What was the stupid name they was given? Rated Chicken Kings? Was it Rated Chicken Kings? I think that their team name was. And Eddie Kingston, who's someone I want to get into, because I was watching something from TNA that they uploaded. It was LAX versus the OGs full storyline. And I thought, okay, Conan. I listen to Conan nearly every day. I'll watch this. It's got Mike Santana in it. I like Mike Santana. Let's have a watch. And it contained Eddie Kingston. And I don't know if any of you watch South Park, right? But if you've watched South Park, you know that South Park episode where they're taking the piss out of wrestling, just ribbing it, not doing any wrestling, it's just theatre, right? That's what this storyline was. It was Conan and Eddie Kingston fighting over territories, gang territories. They're fucking wrestlers. They're not gangsters. They're wrestlers. Was Vince Russo behind that shit? And I had the same feeling with the Aces and Eights and their storyline, because that was posted a few months ago, and it was like watching Dog the Bounty Hunter. You could tell Vince Russo was there at that time, because everything, they had a scene with Sting and Hulk Hogan's daughter, right? And they was talking in the office, and instead of being just a normal wrestling backstage segment, it was filmed like reality TV. Like, it had some music in the background, different camera shots. I mean, and it was filmed like reality TV. And while it was sort of entertaining to watch a little bit, my friend's falling at my ears, it was not wrestling. It wasn't. It's I mean, it's good to have some sort of storyline, but when you go too far like that, I mean, everybody knows Conan doesn't own New York, and he gave New York to Eddie Kingston, who was called King in TNA, and it was hokey, basically. But that's all the topics covered. We've gone how long? We've gone a while, so I think we're going to leave it there, because I'm just rambling now. But yeah, I hope you've all had a good night, evening, morning, wherever the fuck you are in the world, and hit that like button. Hit the like button, subscribe if this is the first time you're seeing me. And I'll probably be back on Tuesday. I'm sorry I couldn't get through all the chats. I can't fucking see. I want to read your chats, I do, but I've got to do that, and it pisses me off. But yeah, I hope you've all had a good night, good evening, good morning, wherever the fuck you are. Like, subscribe, and follow me on X at @crossman25. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.